This balance patch is in my opinion the best that we had in at least 1 year. So let's take a look at it together. But before I jump in, quick shout out to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch, and Patreon that help me keep the lights on. And now let's start straight away with Elementalist. Elementalist gets big buffs. It's really nice what we get, especially Hammer gets quite a lot of buffs. We will get some nerfs to Flame Wheel, so the damage is reduced from 15 to 5% in PvE only, but this is very interesting because this is only for Tempest a nerf. Every other Catalyst and even Weaver will not be affected by that. If you use Hammer, you actually deal strike damage with the Hammer, which is increased by 10%, whereas the Flame Wheel damage is only applying to, for example, the Overload Air. That's why we used Hammer on Tempest. But this is only PvE, so in general, we get some really nice changes to Hammer. We get some really interesting reworks to, for example, Cleansing Fire, which is now a stun break again, and this is really interesting. And also we get some just buffs to underused skills. That's really cool as well. We get complete rework of Arcane Power. We saw that already in the preview. We will go over the notes regarding the stuff that is actually changed from the preview in a second. We just go over just shortly summarizing what we saw in the upcoming balance preview already. Now it's in game. So Arcane Power is now Arcane Echo, and it's now, so to say, like Elemental Celerity, so it can instantly reset one of your weapon skills. It's amazing. It's really cool for all Elementalist builds. For example, even Heal Tempest can be really good with Warhorn because you can now extend the boon duration twice. It's really cool. It's also really good, of course, for Meteor Shower. Now you can cast it 3 times as a Catalyst. It's really interesting. And then you get Cliff of Elemental Power is again reworked, really cool what it does, crazy good. Pyromancer's Puissance is also really strong. This is now just a very, very good trade. You will see in a second. It was already used in a lot of competitive modes especially, but now it's even better than before. And Blinding Ashes is now gone. It's now Inferno, which is really interesting. Now Burning scales on 10% of your condition damage. That's really interesting. So the power is now really important for Burning to scale with this trade. Maybe that's good on a Celestial trade setup. Maybe that's even good on a power build or some kind of grieving setup. I don't know. We will see. That's really interesting. And then we have Soothing Disruption, just a change to it. That's now, I would say, a little bit more interesting because it gives cooler wounds than just Vigor all the time. But let's see if that's really interesting for the most part. Then we get the big change that Elemental Bastion gets Alacrity now. That's really cool. So now you can heal with auras and grant Alacrity. The number is actually quite high. So I tested it in game earlier. It's really high. You can easily upkeep it now. It's only in PvE though, keep that in mind. And then Weaver can walk now while using Tailored Victory skill. So now to Engineer. Engineer is interesting as well. Crazy reworks, Bomb Kit, Flamethrower, a lot of trade reworks. In general, I won't go into detail here because they changed so much stuff around. It's completely crazy. We will see how the competitive modes turn out to be, if there's a Bunker Engineer build going around, or what actually happens to all the kits and stuff. Even the trades are actually quite crazy. I made a video about it, discussing this in quite detail. Link is in the description below. But this is, I would say, really interesting. Engineer was really underused in PvP especially. So this will probably help a lot. PvE, it might still be a really good buff. I think the only thing that is a little bit annoying is that Flashbang was really, really good. It was annoying everybody else. But now it's like still good, but probably not as broken as it was before. We will see if that's true, but it's still a very good trade. And Holosmith gets just some buffs overall. It's actually quite interesting. But Engineer, I think, is probably a big winner of this patch, but we will see how it turns out. It will be definitely a lot of theory crafting and experimental stuff going on in the next few weeks. And we have Guardian. Guardian is one of the classes that get the least amount of changes. Just Focus get reworked. That's really cool. And Scepter, a little bit of more help there. But I think the Focus rework is actually quite fun. We will see how much damage it actually does. And maybe it's used in a power build or even a Conny build with a lot of strikes. Maybe. We will see. But I think the biggest change here is probably Line of Warding is now the cast time is half. This is insane for PvP and World vs. World. It's really, really good. And other than that, just some buffs overall, I would say. Guardian not really changing too much. That's okay. By the way, if you want to see more content like this, don't forget to subscribe. And if you like content like this, don't forget to leave a like. But now to Mesmer. Mesmer gets some crazy reworks. It gets some buffs to Staff because it was completely underused in World vs. World and PvP. Now it gets some crazy reworks with the traits of Mirage, and you now can apply Alacrity with all the weapons, so that's really interesting. And we also get some really interesting interaction with Doomcloak and Mindflag and Cry of Frustration. But overall, it's a lot of reworks for Mirage. I will test out a lot of different builds after this video and let's see what actually works. Necromancer gets also some interesting changes because now you get some kind of base crit chance into this in general in PvE situations where you have alacrity permanently. That's really nice. That should help you gearing. It's not that hard to gear anymore. You don't have to have assassin pieces in there. Now it's like Berserker, I guess, most of the way. And now improved alacrity is now giving no more critical strike damage, but you have to take the critical strike damage from danger time now. So you are forced to choose between those two traits. It's interesting. And illusionary reversion trait that you typically didn't take is now also applying alacrity. That might be useful for some competitive mode builds. Then the big change is probably Necromancer. I think it's not the biggest winner of the patch, but it's definitely one of the most anticipated reworks. So Transfusion now is reworked. It doesn't heal downstates anymore and that kind of stuff, but it now grants your marks to be triggered by allies, and this means that they give vigor and also all heal a bit, and this one heals even more. It grants protection, this one removes a lot of conditions, and this one grants a lot of I think 3 stacks of stability for 5 seconds or something like that. Or 4 seconds. It's actually quite good. So this has a rather short cooldown in PvE, and it's just really good now. I think it's actually worth running on a lot of Necromancer healing builds. You can still choose if you want to have Dagger, Warhorn, or want to have Pistol, Torch. There is some choosing to do here. But I think it's a really good, solid choice in a lot of encounters. You can cover a lot of wounds now very easily and also apply a lot of healing. So that's actually quite nice for a barrier healer especially. And then Harbinger gets some buff from the Blight, so that actually helps power and condition, quickness, or full DPS Harbinger. So that's just a straight up buff. Especially when you run fractals and stuff and convergences where this goes really low. Then Ranger, nothing too crazy. We'll see it with the additional patch notes that actually more insane than those. This is just buffs to underused traits. I talked about that in my long-term detailed video about the preview, but this is just short summary here when the patch goes live, and I feel like this is not too much what we get for Ranger, but Revenant actually gets some interesting changes again to some underused traits. I wouldn't say they are changing too much, with one exception, with the exception of the Saint of Zuhälter. This one grants now alacrity as well on your dodge in PvE only, but this is like instantly making it viable of an alacrity heal vindicator. I will try out this build, and I will also release a build guide about this very soon this week. So we will see how much this actually works. But I would say that's a really cool build, really fun to play, and in general, I would say makes Healing Vindicator probably the best healer for Revenant right now, even with the buffs to Righteous Rebel, but still. And then we get Thief. Thief gets a lot of changes. I would say Daredevil, just some buffs overall. Nothing too insane, but just some buffs in especially competitive modes, but also in PvE. And then you have some buffs to most of the other skills, except Scepter got some nerf here on, you can see 3 to 4 initiative cost, but this is because Spectre actually gets now no longer reduction of the maximum initiative. So in total that is like some zero-sum game, because you get more maximum initiative, but you have to use more initiative for using your skills. So if you use Scepter on Spectre, you don't get any change. If you use Scepter on other elite specs on Thief, you actually get a nerf here. In general, just buffs again to Black Powder, but that's just everything I would say is here quite okay. I think Healing Thief got a lot of value because of the Dark Aura changes, and also Spectre gets a lot of reworks here. Shade Step now gives, so to say, augments the Shadow Shroud ability, so you can heal on the auto take. It's like not that much, 200, 300, it's not that crazy, but you grant like 5 seconds of alacrity baseline in PvE when you use your 2 skill, and if you have like 100% wound duration, it's like 10 seconds, so you use it like twice and you have it covered 3 times even. It's crazy. Protection uptime and just some crazy amount of healing and H's in terms, and also stability in the 5 skill. It's really, really good. So I would say Spectre is a big winner of this patch, especially Heal Spectre, but also the Alacrity Heal Spectre is also, Alacrity DPS Spectre is also quite good. So I think Thief, big winner of the patch as well. And then lastly, we have Warrior. So Warrior just got some buffs to underused skills like Eviscerate, Cyclone X, and just some 100 Blades buffs. Sadly not moving, but it's just a power buff. We will see if that's useful in PvE builds to make it work, but that's just in PvE. So in PvP and World vs. World, nothing changes with here. And just, I would say, this is like changed. We will see that in a second when we go to the preview changes since then. And then we have Berserker, yeah, nothing too much, just more quickness uptime. That's really cool. So because before it was actually quite hard in some encounters to have permanent quickness, now it's very easy. You get like almost double the amount of quickness. It's really good. And just some Bladestone buffs that is a little bit of more usefulness and just less hard to actually get to achieving a perfect result. Now to the changes that were added on top of those changes. So bear with this formatting of this website. It's the forum, but I just wanted to have the dark mode, so I forced this. So Relic of the Blightbringer was like a menace in PvP. It was insane on especially Conditioned Soul Beast. Now it gets nerfed quite hard, so I think this is like still worthwhile running, but it's crazy how much nerfed it got because it's like completely broken at the moment. Then we get Elementalist, Primus Persons. Like I said, this trade was really good, already taken. Now it no longer removes the might when you trigger the flame expulsion, so when you leave fire. But now it's a little bit like harder to stack because it's only half of the stacks that you get, but the duration is a little bit longer and the damage is a bit decreased. Then we get some Transmute First changes, a little bit nerfed. And Elemental Shielding was really good in PvP for the protection uptime. This was also nerfed. So overall, I think Elementalist changes here in addition to the already shown ones, quite nice. Then we have Engineer. Yeah, nothing changes here, just the big old bomb, a little bit difference how it actually affects it, but it's not like completely insane. It's just a little bit of an addition here. Mesmer is like a little bit better with the Axis of Symmetry changes here, but only from the player, so that's only in PvE, and it's like just a very condition-focused Mesmer. We will see if that's really that impactful. And of course, like we said, Imaginary Axis is now buffed, and then we have the Chaos Vortex is the radius increase. That's actually quite nice because this is like was a skill that was like a little bit annoying to always be in range. Now it's easier to do so. That's good. And then we get a big nerf to Soul Shards. So that is the big damage that you get from the 2 skill, for example, on Spear, on Necromancer, because this is like the additional lifesteal and damage that you get, and this is now reduced. It's not like insane the number, but you can stack those shards, and so it actually adds up. I would say this is like a good nerf because it was like insane if you had the maximum number of shards, how much damage and healing it did. Now it's a little bit less punishing, and you get a little bit reduced lifesteal on the Hungering Maelstone. Then Ranger, just some crazy nerfs to Conditioned Soul Beast most of the time. It's like all skills that the Conditioned Soul Beast use. Some less healing here. Griffin's Stance gets an ICD. That's actually hitting quite hard, I would say. And then Bumble, which is the B skill that was really, really broken, is now only 2 seconds of knockdown. It's still good, I would say. And then the Stinging Sorrow got also some damage nerf. And Primal Cry also got some cooldown reduction. So I would say Poison Soul Beast still good build. Definitely not as broken as it was before. I really hope that this would be the case, and this is like a, I would say, decent nerf to it because it was like absolutely broken, and now it's like completely, I would say, still playable but not absolutely broken anymore. Untamed, just some fixed things, but nothing too crazy. Daredevil, yeah, just some additions to it and just PvE changes to make the damaging scaling better, but it's not like absolutely insane. And Unhindered Combatant. I would say Thief stays mostly the same. The late balance nodes are not changing too much here. Spectre, this is like a really nice quality of life change for most Spectres because it was only 1 stack of stability on Well of Bounty, which was one of your main sources of stability. And having 1 stack that is like a little bit hard sometimes to really make use out of this. For example, in Fractals or something, when you get CC'd and then you get CC'd again, then it doesn't help. So having 2 stacks for long duration is way better than having like 1 stack for long duration because they can actually be not that valuable. So that is a really good buff. Hopefully Elementalist Eye of the Storm gets this as well. And then you have Warrior. Interesting changes to PvP, I would say, with the Brave Stride change here. I'm not completely sure how good that will be, we will see, but I think the stability was actually quite interesting. Now it's only Fury, so it's not that crazy. And then your Might Max Right is a little bit of a buff. I'm not sure if the healing here is still enough, but let's see, because you typically take it for the endurance as well, but the healing could be quite nice. Maybe Bladesong comes back, we will see. And then we get here, that was from 10 to 15 in the preview. Now we get 10 to 12.5% in PvE, so the damage number is actually not as big as we expected it to be. And Berserker just gets some crazy buff to the hammer skills. That's interesting, but I'm not sure if that will bring like a hammer Berserker back there. We will see. So those are the changes. I would say not too much of additions to the preview, but of course Soul Beast got nerfed. That's the big part here in PvP. In general, I like the changes. I think the balance patch is really good. Let me know your opinion in the comments down below. Thanks a lot for watching. If you like this video, be sure to leave a like and subscribe for more content like this. Thanks again to all my supporters on YouTube, Twitch and Patreon, and I hope to see you all in the next video.